Hey, Tube users. I have a quick episode for you today. I get asked by colleagues and students alike about guitar picks and how I choose them. The burning questions I hear most from new and intermediate guitarists are, do picks affect your tone and playing? And are some picks better than others? Well, the answer is yes. I'm being a jerk. Okay. My apologies. Everything is a joke to me right now. So when I named this episode the top 5 guitar picks that I'm using, I mean just that. This topic is very subjective, as guitar picks are preferential to taste and playing style. I'd be hard pressed to say that there are in fact better picks in comparison, as it's really up to the player to discover what works best for them. I will, however, impart some knowledge and information that I got passed on to me during one of the best guitar lessons I've ever had. It changed my playing style, upped my playing ability, and it gave me confidence as well. It might even help some of you who want to grow their shredding sensibilities. For my last few years at Berkeley, Joe Stump was my private instructor. If you don't know Joe and you love neoclassical music, please look him up. He's one of the top in that genre. So one day while Joe was watching me struggle through an etude he had given me about a week prior, he asked me to stop playing and wanted to look at my pick. At the time I was using this big, heavy gauge Fender bass pick, one of those triangle ones. When I handed it to him, he was all, whoa, oh wow, yeah, now I get it. Okay, yeah, here's your problem. That is a terrible Joe impersonation. I was using that pick because in my head, my thinking was, this huge thing can't miss. But what he explained to me was that this giant pick was actually slowing me down in every way. Now I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, you might not be training yourself to be precise in your movements with this pick. The great guitarists aim to use less motion, a more relaxed for least resistance. And that idea hit me. It just really rung in my ears and stuck with me. He right then handed me, just right there, a Dunlop Jazz 3 pick. I think it was a red nylon one. And it became my pick of choice for almost a decade. I still use something very similar to it, and the precision and tone I get from it is just unparalleled for my style of playing. I will praise Joe forever for what he did to keep my head and my heart in the game while studying at Berkeley. And I know other students who feel the same way. But his insight on this seemingly little thing highlighted how good he was at being an observant and caring teacher. That aspect was also not lost on me, so thank you sincerely, Joe. All right, moving on. Picks are one of the least expensive tools used for playing guitar, but it's also one of the least talked about as well. I also feel like once you've added a certain level of gain or distortion to your guitar, your pick of choice somewhat stops coloring the tone. Now, when you're playing clean, what you're using to strike the strings can really affect the sound. Now, I've tried picks made of metal. Now, these feel like they're destroying the strings when I'm playing them. picks made of cloth, which are actually great for like background, like steel string jazz guitar. Picks made of wood. Where the is my wood? Okay, moving along. Picks made of bone as well. But I've always come back to Tortex or nylon Ultex pick for the most part. I used to play on medium gauge picks, but over the years, and especially after going to the Jazz 3, I really only play on something that's at least 1 millimeter or 1.3 millimeter thickness or higher. Some even as high as 3 millimeters. Now I've narrowed down my top 5 picks to these 5 styles and from 2 makers. It's going to be Jim Dunlop and Chicken Picks. Now I'm very new to Chicken Picks, but I love both the ones that I bought just on a whim. And I met them right after I bought them at NAMM. So Yolanda, you were very cool. Thank you. So this is the Badass. It has this cutting tone that I love. This would be great in so many situations, from kind of country style chicken picking to getting a bit more of a bright bite on a solo. Do you hear that kind of like knife's edge? It really kind of just cuts through. And next, from Chicken Picks, we have the Shredder, it's great as well. It really feels like this pick is just cutting through the strings like butter when I use it. It's just... This is great. So next, now we have the pick that I went to after using Nylon Jazz 3 forever, the Primetone Jazz 3. Now it's hand brush sculpted. The edges are made of Ultex, or I guess the pick is made of Ultex, which makes this fast picking just dream for me, and probably for you as well. Really smooth. So now we have my main 2 picks that I go back and forth on. The Pitch Black Tortex Jazz 3 1.5 millimeter pick. Now this is the evolution of perfection for me. Yeah, and I've filmed this a couple times now, and each time I get to this part, I'm blown away. I can really tell that I use this pick a lot, that it feels very natural for me to use, because even though these picks are great, and I might use them in like a solo, and I'll practice the solo with that pick because I want it to have a certain tone or sound or uniqueness to it. This is definitely my go-to pick. I feel it working with me, not against me. Got it. So great. Now, finally, and like I said, this is one that I'm using right now, we have something that I heard Andy James and John Petrucci talking about, and it's this thing, the Petrucci Flow, and I believe it's a 2mm pick. The logo came off this bad boy. I've been using it so much. Now, I really like this pick. And like I said, I almost always come back to using this Jazz 3. However, in the band that I'm playing in right now, I'm using this a lot more because I feel like I'm getting like this kind of lower end feel. Because there's a little bit more to this pick than the Jazz 3. Not a lot, but I feel like it's giving like a lower end sound for the band that I'm currently playing in. Still, yeah. I want to give one honorable mention. Now, I don't like acrylic picks at all. I don't know entirely why, if it's the sound or feel or just I haven't gotten one that I like the shape of yet. Gravity Picks does do one thing most other pick makers aren't doing. A rough edge pick in addition to the polished one. Maybe other pick manufacturers have something similar to this, but these rough edge picks are made with a grinding wheel while making the beveled edge and just left unpolished. It changes the tone a lot, and I don't like it because of the feeling it gives when I strike the strings. It makes kind of a gravelly like feel when you play it, and it's too severe for me. Even though I'm not into it, I do think it's innovative, and I can't think of other manufacturers doing this kind of edge right now, at least not to this extreme. Okay, those are my top 5 picks for picks you should give a shot. And speaking of, if you would like to give any of my top 5 picks a try, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and be the first to leave a comment below for the pick you'd like to try out. Then you can DM me on any of the socials, and I will send one out, courtesy of yours truly. All right, all done. Until next time, I will see you from the stage.